Hey guys, it's COREROSS. Today we're breaking down and testing a whole bunch of balancing changes coming with Siege X, or otherwise known as Operation Daybreak, with Season 2 of Year 10. And we'll start with electrical damage changes, as the damage to players has been entirely removed, and instead the electrical effect will slow you and cause you to make a lot of noise as you will yell out in pain. However, I was very surprised that you can now rub up against electrical walls with no effect whatsoever. And then when it comes to electrified barbed wire, you'll still take damage, but this is coming from the physical damage of the barbed wire when moving through it, rather than the electrical effect. And I believe one operator here gains more than others, and that is Maverick, as he is able to create two horizontal slices along a reinforced wall in order to destroy the reinforced part, and as a result make it easy to enter. Normally, cutting the lower part is more dangerous, but now you can do it inverted completely out of sight. And I would say it's far safer now because you could be inverted on that wall, taking no electrical effects whatsoever. And although player damage is gone, gadget damage has been expanded to the point of where the electricity will now affect defender gadgets, just like it used to do back in the day. And I certainly am going to be upset when I fry a nitro on a reinforced wall in the future. And unfortunately, I think this is a step back. I think it was a nice quality of change back in the day when they got rid of this, and I've been enjoying it ever since, and now I'm going to be just sad for its return. But saying that, it works exactly as you would expect, as all electrical gadgets will be destroyed, but stuff that's just physical gadgets, like let's say a Goyu canister, will still go on the wall perfectly fine. And for bandits and kaids, I would say you now need to be far more vigilant, as you may electrify barbed wire or a reinforced wall that already has gadgets placed on it, and as such fry them inadvertently. But let's talk about an extremely popular change that people are loving, and that is the ability for any operator now to do a quick entry on a window, whereas previously this required a breaching charge. But be noted, if the barricade is still in place, you'll just bounce off it. So this means operators who can take out the barricade in one quick action are going to be the ones who benefit from it. And by far the easiest and one who benefits the most from this is definitely Sledge, as of course he can just use his hammer to take out the barricade in one swing, resulting in an extremely quick entry for the player. You can also do this on castle barricades as well. And you've also got Ram, who can lob her robots through the windows as well, although this is a little bit harder to line up. And then also the Gun 6 is perfect for this too. And then if you're playing the new 6v6 mode, which has defenders and attackers working together and defenders can repel, it means you can use impact grenades to do exactly the same thing too. And then we have a brand new gameplay element to talk about, and it is the gas pipes. And these essentially have three phases to them that are extremely interesting to play around with. So phase 1, if they take damage from say a bullet or a laser from a gadget, they will emit a flame in one direction, and this flame will do damage if you cross in its path. It also changes color, which indicates how long it's going to take until the pipe explodes. But you can accelerate this process by shooting the pipe multiple more times and then causing the explosion to happen very quickly. And that takes us to phase 2, where the pipe will then explode. This explosion is enough to kill a player. And then phase 3 is a Capitale style fire effect that ends up on the ground, and this will block off the corridor that the pipe is on. And these pipes are all part of the map. They will always be in the same place every round. And the operator who benefits the most from this is Capcan, as he can place down a single trap, and this will detonate the pipe if anyone passes by, instantly killing them. Now Siege X has also seen a significant change to claymores as well, in the form of the lasers. So from a friendly point of view, the lasers appear to be white, with a little bit of shading of team color. If you're on the enemy team color is more prominent. However, it's still got a surprising amount of white in the lasers as well. Maybe this is to help with color blindness, I'm not sure. And changing team colors here only slightly changes the overall color of the lasers, unless they are in direct sunlight, where their colors actually become extremely visible. Now for me, hopefully this is still bugged. We're in the first week of the test server, so I'm kind of hoping that they're tweaking it still, because if you're on the same team as the claymore, then the lasers should be the team color, especially with the introduction of the new game mode where you can have claymores on both your team and the enemy team. It needs to be nice and clear. And then the lasers themselves are these harsh lines, and I can understand probably why they're doing the change here. They want to make them more visible, especially for people with color blindness, but they look like someone attached some plastic rods to the claymores rather than being lasers. And then if we are indeed going to change how these lasers appear and make them more prominent and things like that, we need to give more team colors, because having just orange, red, and blue is not enough. We need much more options there for people with color blindness, where this could actually make a significant improvement to their gaming experience. And then on the subject of color blindness, we have another major change, and this is the inclusion of outlines to operators. So currently in game right now, there is something called rim lighting, which adds an artificial glow to the outside of the operator, as if they're being lit by a white light that doesn't really exist, and it's an even light all around them. As a result, if you have a black uniform on and you're standing in front of a black wall, you will not be able to hide in that location, as you will glow a little bit, meaning players can obviously see you. But with Siege X, that rim lighting is being removed and replaced with a team color outline. And this affects both friendlies and enemies. So your team members will now always be outlined. They're usually outlined when you're seeing them through walls in the live game right now, but now you will always see the outline. And then for enemies, they have an outline of the color of the enemy team that you have selected. So in this example here, the enemy is outlined in red, and wow, for me, it's nice and bright. I can see this person super easy, and I find that if people are like inverted on windows, if they're looking through punch holes, because the outline changes depending on what you can see of the operator, then I can see them super easy. Another place is pixel peeking as well. And I made a dedicated video about this, and it was interesting because colorblind people said, wow, I just cannot see it at all. People who weren't colorblind said, I really can't see it that easily either. And then for me, it's just super vibrant, easy to see, and I think it's going to give me quite an advantage on spotting people earlier, because to me, they really stand out. And if they are going to implement something like this and push this to the live servers, I think they need to have far more team color choices to choose from. The 3 that they have right now, I think, is pretty terrible, and they need way more options. But can we understand maybe there's some colors that would just be OP outright? But I don't know if this is going to be a good or bad fix. I could see colorblind people being at a massive disadvantage with this, because like I say, to me, I'm going to get a huge advantage out of this. Now let's move on to something that everybody can use. So you might know this position in border, which is just a guddle to get up to. You can now just simply vault up here without any issues whatsoever. And I like this because previously it was just a pain in the ass to do all the right things to get up. And if you're going to have some sort of interesting hiding spot, everyone should just be able to access it as if you're a human climbing stuff, right? It should be relatively simple. So I think this is a relatively good change, and I could see this being implemented on other little spots like this on different maps to just make it easier to get to these positions that a human would be able to get to without too much hassle. Now let's move on to operator balancing. So we got some specific stuff for operators here. First up is Thunderbird. So her gadget is now hackable by Brava. Normally you would overcook it and then destroy them. Now you can actually hack them and take them over. As a result, when they're under Thunderbird's control, they will only heal defenders, but when they are hacked by Brava, they will only heal attackers. And there is no way for Thunderbird to get control back, like picking them up or stuff like that. Blackbeard has also had some quality of life changes, and as far as I can tell from the designer notes, this is only the start of additional changes he'll be getting. And it's pretty simple. There is now a tint on the glass, so when he aims down sights, it's a lot easier to figure out there is no glass in the way, and of course you can shoot back. And this does not affect Blackbeard's point of view. His glass is still perfectly transparent, and they've also increased the noise that the shield makes when he is aiming down sights. So let's say he's just round the corner from you, you'll actually be able to hear him aim down sights and that glass drop, and then you can peek him and take him out. Or you'll realize that he's put the glass back up by hearing that too. As a result, it should be better to understand what the heck he's doing. And then we have Jackal, who has easily had the harshest of nerfs here, and that is when he scans the footprints, he only gets 1 ping on the enemy. Now he does get more scans, but still, it's pretty bad. So I think this is going to be a massive nerf to Jackal, and I think you have to play Jackal differently. I would probably recommend just following the footprints rather than actually scanning them. And I think that's how bad it is for Jackal here. And then we have a change to Jaeger. He can now take out Capital's bolts. Now, I'm not liking this. And honestly, I'm fine with him actually taking the bolts out. It's the mechanism behind it all. So first of all, if you don't know how Capital's bolts work, they are glass tubes that get fired out. When they hit a surface, they break. The chemicals then combine, and as such, fire or smoke come out. And that means that, let's say Wamai grabs one of these, you'll always get the fire or the smoke coming out after they've been captured by Wamai. And I feel here that this should be the same as Jaeger, because Jaeger's device probably is not vaporizing all the chemicals or stuff like that. So I feel like you should still get this smoke and fire, just at a different point from where you expected. So that's how I think it should work, is when Jaeger takes out the bolts would still ignite into fire and smoke. But I can understand they're probably going for a simplicity here so that it works exactly how every other gadget works. But I like complexity, so I'm not a big fan of how this works right now. However, I think this is how it's going to end up in game. And there we go, guys. That is a whole bunch of stuff tested for Year 10 Season 2 Operation Daybreak, otherwise known as the Siege X update. And the conclusion here is that most of the changes are pretty good, and I'm going to be very scared of the amount of people quick entering the building in the new season. And I think there's also quite a few annoying changes in this season that shouldn't be here or are not quite there yet. Like, they really need more team colors before some of this stuff is implemented. But overall, Siege X is not the massive, incredibly huge update we were really expecting. A lot has changed, but when it comes to gameplay, I'm actually surprised how normal it all is to normal Siege stuff, and there's definitely a tweak here and there, but for the most part, it is Rainbow Six Siege, just with the Roman numeral for 10 slapped onto the end. Anyway guys, let me know what you think of all these changes in the comments below, and I'll catch you next time.